So here we are finally in Photoshop. Now this part for me is always my favourite part because all the technical sort of stuff is out of the way, and now it's just a case of picking and choosing, compositing, using your eye, and basically just looking for the end result. What all this boils down to is it's something that leads us to not eating and having unkempt hair and scruffy beards, failed relationships, and bags under our eyes, and that is all that goes into this this love of ours 3D and trying to create what essentially is a pretty picture. Not that this is a pretty picture, but this whole tutorial series, I suppose, is being done in one day, from concept to upload on YouTube. But so that's my excuse. So enough of the bullshit talk. Yeah, so we're here now, and as I say, it's this enjoyable part of the process. All the technical stuff's out of the way. Take all our passes, and I love this part. And I think a lot of artists feel the very same. So enough of the tear jerking. Here's our beauty pass, and I'm going to just bring in our other passes now as well. So you can see the passes I have here. This one is still rendering. That's just that last one with the text on it. So we just have a couple of different ones here with the dirt and a few different metal ones. Metal scratch. So that's an extra clown pass beauty or AO. So before we actually bring them in, I'm gonna make the variation of this layer. So I'm gonna take the clown pass, and you can just double click the background and return then to unlock it. So we're basically just going to be copying and pasting from one image into our master image. So what we do here is, this is going to be our master image. So we'll firstly just save it, and we'll just call this so I usually just call it master, whatever, master comp, and save it as a PSD. PSD, the first one, save as a PSD, and now we have that saved no matter what. And then we can just drag from these other images. We can open these, Control A to select all, Control Shift C to copy, and Control Shift V in the master. And the reason you're holding Control and Shift is just to it'll snap it to the center, so it'll always land on top. It won't be offset or anything. It's just it's just an encase sort of a thing. So we have our clown pass, and I usually just leave the clown pass on the top, and then we can select with the magic wand. So we can just select our various different parts based on those material IDs that the clown pass created. And once you have your selection, Control D is the hotkey to deselect, and another handy hotkeys. I'll just select this, and you see here, black is the foreground color, white is the background. Now this is mostly just for beginners. I'm sure most of you already are familiar with Photoshop and its hotkeys, but I'll just go over a couple of them anyway that I use a lot. So if you hold down Alt and Backspace, it'll fill with your background color, and if you hold down Control and Backspace, it'll fill with your foreground color. Oh, sorry, the other way around. Yeah, it's the opposite. So Control, and yeah, it's the opposite to what you see there. So that's just a handy hotkey, and then Control D, as I said, to deselect. Right, so I'm going to take this the bottom layer. I'm going to just call this we just call this beauty. We'll just call it beauty base, and I'll duplicate that. And it's a very good idea to name your Photoshop layers, because when you've 40 layers and you don't know what's what, and you're turning them on and off to see which is which, it becomes a bit of a pain in the arse. And we'll just call this beauty variation, and that done, now we're going to just go back to the clown pass and select our red part, back down to variation, and turn off our clown pass, and now we can just control U and mess around here with the hue. So maybe bring it a bit towards orange, and image adjustments, color balance, maybe introduce a bit more red and maybe a little bit of yellow, and back to the clown pass. I'm just going to do all this really quickly. You can spend as much or as little time as you like, but this is all just to show the process really. So we select our blue now, and we can do the same thing. So control U is to bring up the hue saturation, and we can just play with the hue a bit, maybe make it a bit lighter, and maybe desaturate it a touch. And finally we'll select our metal parts, so you can just shift click to add to your selection with the wand. Yeah, so that's our metal parts, and back down to the variation, and let's see, maybe just go to levels, and we can just bring the whites in a bit just so we can see more of that detail, and we might leave it at that for the moment. So as I say, you can see the changes there. You can do whatever you like here. So that's the variation layers done, and now I'm going to bring in, we have our metal scratch here, and that's it as when it's forced open, so you can do whatever you like here as well. Maybe add a brightness contrast, brighten it up a touch and contrast it a bit, whatever you want to do with it really. It's entirely up to you. And when you're happy with that, then you can just do the same thing, Control A, Control Shift C, Control A, Control Shift C, and back into our beauty, Control Shift V, and we'll drop that right down the end. And now we'll select the two of these, and we'll create a new group, and we'll just call that metal paint, or just metal paint, and Control Shift select these, drop them in. Now with our variation layer, we can add a mask, and we'll fill that mask with black, and now you can see that disappears, and will you be using white then to white to paint it back in, as you can see there. So then, because we have our layers in a group here, we can add a mask to the group, and now when we paint black into this mask, it's going to reveal let's put that up, it's going to reveal the paint underneath. So that'll be the sort of basis for the workflow. We'll use this mask to vary the colours on our paint and our metal, and then we'll use the group mask to reveal our scratches. So we'll just I'm just going to add in a background layer here, just so we're not looking at that checkerboard thing. So I'll just make it a kind of a dark grey maybe, and just fill it in there just so we can see what's going on a bit better. Okay then, so as I said earlier, the technical sort of stuff's out of the way, so there's no hard and fast rules here to it's more about sort of developing. Once you understand sort of what you're doing, it's about developing your own workflow. It gets the job done for you and is enjoyable, and produces decent enough results. So it's more about just tricks and ways of layering things and using masking and all the rest of it. as you've seen here with this kind of setup here. So it's all non-destructive. We're not just erasing layers and then that detail's gone, that data is gone forever. Then you'll have to redo it. So we have our masks here, which is always a smart way to work non-destructively. So I'm going to just go and open up. We have these other layers here. So I have this. There was a metal variant. Metal scratch bright. I think it was this metal scratch, just a darker version of the other one. So Control A, Control Shift C, and Control Shift V. And we might, I might add this in later on. Just call this maybe. Or actually, do you know something? I'll just leave this layer out for the moment, and we can add that in later on if we want to do some further variations on the metal, like maybe this front part, change it the way it is in the reference. So I'm going to start by painting on the mask here between these two layers. So with white selected, and just going to open up the that's not it there. View, window, brush presets. Just open up the brush presets, and you can see here that I have these brushes here. Where does it start? Blurs. It's a set of brushes called Blur's Good Brush. Here, Blur's Good Brush 4 Pro. It's just a free download. I came across on a link in CG Society a couple of years back, and I've always kind of used it. It's more for he's a brilliant 2D digital painter, and it's brushes he created himself for digital painting, but a lot of them are quite useful here for this stuff we're doing. So if you come up to here, and you can preset manager, no, sorry, where is it again? It is, that's all colors. Oh sorry, yeah, it's here, I'm looking in the wrong place. You can load brushes here, and just wait for me, drive to wake up, and then these are just different brushes. I don't know what, that's just opening up with a default location, but wherever you have your ABR file saved, load in whatever brushes you like. So I definitely recommend this set here, Blur's Good Brush. So if you come down to the very end, we have things like noise, corrosion, dirt, stains, rust, scratch, wear, skins. Then you have dents, dirty, and I'll just go to dent for a second, and you can kind of see the effect it has there. We paint on our mask. There's all different types of ones. Now a lot of them, as I say, work better with if you're just doing 2D painting, but you can try a few of them out. But yeah, I'd recommend that. Think of some other ones down here, like these grunge overlay brushes. They're defaulted at a huge size, but when you have a mask in place, then you know you could see the kind of effect we can get there. You can see it's huge, but if you're using it with masks, because it's square at the edges, you know, you can always just paint on here with this large one, and then switch to one of the other brushes and switch to black, and just paint out some of those bits. You know, vary your opacity, and I'm just doing it with the mouse at the moment. The Wacom is sitting there beside me. I'll probably get it out there in a few minutes, but I'll just undo that. So just to give you an idea of different ways of doing things. So with that said, I'm just going to start painting some of this stuff. So I want to make sure just to select your mask, and I think Control and H hide your mask, so that area there is masked. But we're not going to run onto this part. So Control H to hide your mask. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit there in spacebar to pan. and I'll just start painting some of this variation in. So as I say, I'm not going to I'm just going to sort of do a lot of this stuff as quickly as I can, considering you know, it's a tutorial, so I can't be spending too long. But I'll just do. It's more about the techniques, I suppose, than anything else. No, that's don't like that there. And now I'm just going to select the mask there, Control H, back to the mask, spacebar to pan, and maybe select a different brush there. Maybe I'll stick with that one for the moment and just paint some of this variation in here. And we can always remember come back and change these hues on this variation layer just with the mask and some of the filters and adjustments and things, adjustment layers, or just adjustments. So I'm basically just scribbling here with the variation, because it's, you know, it's going to be random. The scratches and things will be a bit more precise. And then for our metal, I'm going to come back again to the clown pass and just select these metals, shift selecting, and one more at the back here, and hide the clown pass, back to the mask, and back to our paintbrush. And then I'm gonna pick a different brush for this. There's that brush, Dent, I think it's called. Dent, or maybe I'll try Rust. Yeah, I like that Rust brush. So same again here. We're just painting some variation. So the variation here, it's not necessarily going to collect in any specific areas like the dirt and the scratches and things like that. It's more just, as I say, it's more just about varying the hues and the tones and things, you know. Just for that, you know, the visual interest, whatever. This isn't particularly subtle what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to get through it all, so it doesn't take too long. You can see there now that looks a bit kind of green. So I might want to, as I was saying earlier, you know, you can change Control H, and then you can change go back to the layer itself, and I'll just go to maybe image adjustments, color balance, and maybe just take some of the green out of it, or take that cyan out maybe a bit more towards red, push that a bit towards blue, just to take that kind of, it was a bit too green looking. Let me see. Now I might just, as I was saying here, with the idea of the kind of sun bleaching on this here, we have our variation in, but we could also, I might do that in a separate layer, just paint in, kind of maybe dodge it. You could use the dodge tool or something, just paint in a bit to vary it up. So we have a bit of the variation in place now, and the next thing we might want to do is maybe put some metal scratches on. So close that group, select the group layer, and we have white selected, our paintbrush. So sorry, black, because the the mask is on this layer. And just want to make sure that you the mask, Control D, because the mask was hidden, I couldn't see. I was wondering why it wouldn't paint on the layer. So it's still doing it there now. Control D. Sorry, yeah, there we go. So just now the brush, you can use any brush for your scratches. Select that layer again. A brush I find good, it's one of the Photoshop default brushes. You usually want it's this one, chalk, and it's a hard kind of edge brush. I'm just going to turn the opacity up. So yeah, this chalk brush, it's a hard edge brush, so you want a hard edge brush for scratches, because you know, paint chips off. So I'm just going to turn off, do a couple of times there. You know, paint chips off. You know, it's either chipped or it isn't chipped, so it's not going to be it's not going to kind of fade off. So I'm just don't want to go into that. I just want to stay right in the corners, and just you know, paint on the corners. Just try to vary it. You know, you don't want to put it all over the place. So you know, you can, the old shaky hand here actually comes in as a bit of a bonus. So you know, just touch it here and there, and we can even, as we said earlier in the first part, look into some of these kind of dented parts here and take advantage of that as places where the paint is chipped away. And you know, just pick edges and things where it's naturally going to chip away on the edge. So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna do a bit of this and sort of give you an idea, and then I'll just pause the video. You know, that's with the chalk brush there, and I'm just going to select I'm just going to select one of these hard round brushes, and just drop it right down, you know, and then you can just drag across, sort of cross hatch, sort of, or just, as you might get metal scratches, and then you can switch back to black, and then just you know, get rid of some of that, so it's probably a bit much. So you know, that's just a hard round brush with a small radius, and just drop that radius down, still on the hard round brush, and just you know, chip away at some of these other corners. As I say, you want to kind of put them in. It doesn't have to be everywhere, you know. Just you know, just hit it in places, and try to just vary it and randomize it as much as you can, so it's not all over the place, like kind of less is more sort of thing. So I'll just pick a few more spots, maybe the corner corner of the handle. And I know this isn't paint, this is metal, but it's still kind of, you know, we're just picking out the edges. Just adds to the visual interest. So you can drop that right down, maybe to a pixel. And if we look up here, you know, we're gonna want to get rid of all of this and reveal the metal. But I'm going to copy one of the metal layers so it's darker here, you know. We could have separated these out and had them as their own subtool and had a different material on them, but it's just as easy to you know, copy a layer and then just paint it away with the mask. So we'll continue on here. I'm going to go back to that chalk brush. Chalk 11 pixels, and let's do a bit more scratching here. You know, you can, some of it you can sort of come off the edge. Just have a look at some reference maybe of you could even pick out a few bits here in the eagle. You know, have a look at reference of chip paint and scratch metal and stuff, and it's always a good idea. I'm not doing that here now, but you know, it's always a good idea. As I always try to say, like, no matter what you're doing, whether it's sculpting or painting or even lighting or whatever you're doing, modeling, you know, you can never have enough reference. So I'm just gonna go back a few. Didn't like that stroke there. I don't like that at all. We can just switch back to black and get rid of that. So as I was saying there, you can bring a bit back down as well. Switch over to black and bring a bit of the paint back in then. Whatever way you want to do it. So this is the process really. It's just you know, you're just going to be going around and damaging up the edges, scratching the edges. The more sort of random the better. Maybe a few more of these paint chipped away here from these recessed sort of parts. And you can just switch back to white and fill some of it back in. And so you get the idea here anyway, what this is all about. Black, isn't it? Sometimes they get mixed up. So I'm probably going to pause this here, and I'll keep going and just scratch a bit more away, and I'll come back then when I have a bit more done. Right, I've just done a little bit more. As I said, less is more, so just a couple of corners and chips and a few little cross hatching, different sort of, just try a few different brushes and a few different ways of scraping it away. And if you're finding this is too bright, you can always just you know, do a levels on that and just make it darker, so it's not as obvious, you know. I'll just leave it as it is for the moment. You can always do that later on if you want. So another thing now I wanted to do was take this darker metal here, and the one we took earlier on. So we'll just Control A, Control Shift C, and before I do that, I'm going to just it doesn't really matter. I was going to desaturate it just to get rid of these colours here, but it doesn't really matter because we're only going to be taking these couple of sections here. So then we can Control Shift V it in, and you can see now that's showing up where the scratches were. So what we're going to do there is with that layer selected, we can just grab our polygonal lasso tool and just you know, can just do some, you know, just do some rough selections around these. I'm just going to zoom in, so Control and plus and minus just to zoom into your canvas, and you can just use the arrow keys to move around. So basically we just I'm going to do that again. Basically we just want the area around this, and we can use our mask tools then just to paint it out. So we'll just hold down, we could do this more accurately if you like, but we don't really need to for what we're doing. So we can hold Control to add to those selections, and we're going to want these as well. So, or sorry, hold Shift to add to the selections. So we're just going to draw a selection around here, and now with that in place we can just Control Shift I, and with our layer selected we can just delete the rest. You can see now that popped away, and now we can go back onto our mask in black, and when we paint, it's going to reveal this this stuff here. You know, there's more accurate ways of doing that, but we don't actually need it. I could have done it exactly and then deleted that out of the mask, but instead I'm going to paint it and give it a less kind of, it'll be more organic if we just paint it. And then we're using the mask as well, so any bits there that we go outside the lines, we can just invert our colour, change it from black to white, and just paint it out again. So it doesn't really matter what brush you use for this. I'm just using this hard brush, hard edged brush. I'm going to just change the size now and just do it a bit more accurately. So as I said, you know, you can I'm just doing all this stuff quick because I'm trying to, as I said earlier, show the process and not get too bogged down. Bloody thing will go on for hours and hours. So back to our colouring book days. I still can't stay inside the lines. So they're the bits now we want, and we can just switch back over again. Sorry, just missed a little bit in the corner there, and I can switch back over again. I just want to clean these bits up here. And just a few bits around here. You know, you probably are better off doing this with selections, because then and even then you always have that layer kind of to further your sort of non-destructive, the idea of a non-destructive workflow. So you can always just call in that selection again. Whereas if I call in the selection now, it's going to be, you know, where these were. I could shrink these I could shrink these by going to select, modify, and contract. And 10 pixels is too much, but you see what I'm getting at. And just Control D that, and I think we want to just paint some of that back in there. So yeah, I'm not going to go too crazy on this. I think I'll just leave it at that, just to give you the idea. So with that in place now, I'm just going to go back out. So you know, this metal here looks way too clean. Way too clean. So we could just come in and with that layer selected, maybe maybe just do a levels on it. Maybe darken it up a bit. And we can always, and what we're going to do is, you know, add photo textures over these. And it's another reason why I should have done an accurate mask here, but that'll do us there for the moment. And what we can also do is, with this layer here that we've just painted in over here, we can add a mask onto it, and then when we take away from that, it's going to reveal a scratch layer below. So let's see what brush we're on. Just on a normal sort of it, hard brush. So now we can come in here and do the exact same as what we did here by using masks. Just paint in a few little highlights and scratches and things like that, and you know, whatever you want to do. It all adds to the visual interest. Well, it should anyway. You can see here we can nearly, from the bump map we got from Keyshot, we can almost, you know, paint in some of those scratches based on you know, using the bump map as a sort of a guide. Just paint a couple of these edges out here, and I'm being quite rough here in that, but I've already given me reasons for that. So we know where we stand. Right, so I think that might do there. That'll do for that. Alright, we're not even on that layer. Okay, so there's a bit more variation. Maybe just take some of that away. Right, so the next thing is we can add in some dirt now. So I'll just I'll open that dirt layer, and the dirt layer as it is, you know, I don't like it, so we'll just come up to image adjustments, brightness, contrast. And we won't do it in here, we'll leave this open and we'll copy it into the master, and then we'll do the brightness and contrast, and we can always, if we're not happy, copy it back in or reopen this file. It doesn't matter, as I said, non-destructive. So Control A, Control Shift C and Control Shift V, and we will drop the dirt in. We'll drop the dirt in on the top of everything, and then we'll add a mask to it and fill that with black to get rid of it. Before we do that, I'm just going to fill it with white, and now we're going to do our adjustments with the layer selected. So image adjustments, brightness, contrast, and we can just darken the whole thing up, maybe add some contrast. And also then what we could do is select that, Control Shift that, and we can let me see, where have I got that? I can come to this drive, and we can just open up any old texture, and down a base. Like I was saying earlier on, you know, it doesn't have to be door texture. Like I'm going to open up this concrete image, and I'm just going to do the same and copy that and paste it in here. And it's huge, so I'll just Control T to try free transform, and then Shift drag here to conform scale it, and I'll just scale that down just till, you know, the scale looks okay with the image. Just scale it up a touch, and now what we want to do is just Control click on this layer, and that'll select it, and then while still on this dort layer, Control Shift I, and we can just delete all that. And now we can try out our blending modes, you know, see what looks okay, just to vary it up here with this with some photo texture. Overlay, maybe multiply. I'll leave it maybe overlay or soft light. Yeah, we'll go with soft light there. I like the look of that. What I meant to actually, yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna delete that mask, and let me see. I'll just drop the opacity a touch, and I'll just right click and merge down and reintroduce that mask again, and fill it with black. And now, you know, we can choose where we want to put our dort. So for the dort here, you might want to select I'll just come up to brushes again and choose a different brush. I have some of these brushes here. Let's see, dirty mark. It's not too bad. I think one of these concrete brushes. Yeah, so we'll just place a bit of dirt here and there. And we're in our mask, remember, so we can just paint that back out with black. And you know, we can still, just like the scratches, you don't want to put this everywhere, so you know, I'm just putting it all kind of around the bottom here where dirt, the blokes running along or whatever, the dirt might be kicking up off the ground. You know, and then we can just drop the opacity down, or you could duplicate that layer and have a dirt layer. So I just call this dirt. You could duplicate that layer, and just call that dust, and then you could put the dust on the top, and you could change the color or drop the opacity. So let's say we want to fill the dust layer again with black, just so it's not showing up on the bottom, and then we could have that on the top. So let's say we'll just paint the coat now, it's sort of on the top. And change the blending mode, maybe to screen or something like that, and then drop the opacity down, just to give that a bit of a layer, kind of the effect of a layer of dust over the top. You know, surfaces like this where it might settle. And then we could duplicate this again, and we'll call this one grime. And now we'll set this one to multiply, and then we can just fill that mask again fill that mask. What the hell? Just fill that mask with black, and then maybe change our brush to let me see, this is going to be our grime layer, so we're going to want this, you know, in these kind of, drop that down a bit, we're just in these areas here, in where grime and dirt might gather, you know, maybe inside the eyes. The AO is going to bolster this effect as well, but I'm just showing you kind of how we can paint it in as well. You know, you could just in these areas, as I say, where it's going to gather or be more prone to gather. Don't really like that brush, so I'm going to change it to maybe rock mud, and no, that's not very appropriate. Dent, maybe dent, yeah, I like the dent brush, and maybe some grime in and around the eagle here. Seems we have some tight corners in there, and that red line, all that is there is that's just a reflection where the red paint was reflected onto the metal. In case you thought it looked a bit strange. And drop the opacity and just put a bit around here, and same up here. And in the wings as well, it's going to gather in those kind of tight areas. Here. As I say, then I'm going to introduce the AO layer soon, and this all looks a bit weird, so not to worry, we're going to be adding in some photo texture. So maybe this this dirt, the first layer we put in, is a bit heavy-handed, so we could change that to overlays a bit dark, maybe screen, just to give it a more caked kind of dry muck sort of look, you know. So we'll just come back, file open, and we'll just have a look now, see what we can put. I'm going to try this concrete worn, and we'll just select that and copy it, and close it, and we can also close this and this, and now we'll just paste that concrete layer in there, and scale that right down. We only need a small part of it for over this metal. Scale that right down. And obviously, you know, you don't want, if you're rendering out to 4K or something, you don't want to be using you want to be using textures appropriate to that resolution, because when you're zoomed right in, you're going to notice that this is only half HD, so you know, these smaller textures, you know, we can a bit more room to maneuver with them. So you know, you can also rotate it. I'll just drop the opacity down a bit so we can kind of position it here a bit more realistically, angle wise, and just return to accept that. And now if we where's that layer, this one here, we're just going to select that and Control Shift I and just delete it there, and then we can come in now and paint. So I'll just bring the opacity back up, and I'm going to change this to multiply, which is too dark, so maybe overlay looks a bit better. And then I can use the eraser here because you know, it doesn't really matter because we don't need to bring the detail back. The mask, we don't want it at all there, so you can see I don't have to be as accurate here because any of that extra bleed from the texture, you're not going to notice. It's going to blend in with everything around it. So that's that metal there now. I'll just so you can see there the effect that has. Adding in these photo textures is a nice little touch. So this part here looks like kind of a weird sort of bit there, so we can use our clone stamp tool and just paint over that bit there. You know, this is also something you can do if you're finding that, you know, if you've seams with your render passes from Keyshot, you can always just clone stamp the seams out in Photoshop to save you re-rendering or anything like that. It's just quicker to do, you know. So we might go back to, let's see, we're starting to, I'm just going to name this, sorry, I'm just going to rename this layer. We'll just call it I don't know, metal enhance or something. And this is our layer 5, which is actually metal enhance. That was the metal. So yeah, so we'll just call this sorry, I'm not even looking at the keyboard. Metal enhance 2. At least we know what they are. And I'll just drop that in on top there, just so the two of them are you know, we could even create a group. And I'll just copy this because I don't have to type that in again. And now we'll just shift select these and drop them in there. And yep, that'll do us nicely. And what else was I going to do there? I'll just zoom back out. I think now we can add in our we bring in our AO path. Just go back to where it was, which is in is it here? I think a 4 drive. No, it's not there. Sorry, it's E. And I can't even remember what I was looking for now. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, passes AO. So here's our AO pass. You know, depending on how you set it up with your gamma and all the rest of it. I went for quite a harsh one here, so you can adjust that, or you can change that based on the other tutorial. I said I had the quick tip Keyshot tutorial. You can check that out if you haven't already. Control Shift V. Now we want to drop that on top of everything and change that to multiply. And you can just see there, now it just brings out the details a lot more in the recessed areas. And you know, you can even see where we've painted in the grime. just adds to that. And you can also drop that, bring that up or down to suit. I'll just bring it down a small bit because I like the look of it. As well as that, you know, you can paint out parts of it as well, if you or mask out parts of it the same as we've masked everything else out. I think I had one more layer here, which was this grimy. It was just a diffuse. I just had a diffuse material on it, just with this texture, tile texture over it. So A C V, and then we can just put that over everything as a kind of a final dirt sort of layer. Dodge, overlay. It's pretty crazy, but we're going to drop the opacity down now. You can just see the effect that that's having. Just darkens it up a bit more, and then we could also use a mask on that as well and reveal more of it or less of it, or mask to certain areas. So what I am going to do here is turn my clown pass on and go back to the magic wand, and actually only want this part here, but it doesn't matter. We could have rendered that out as a separate material, but it doesn't really matter, because all I'm going to do here is I'm going to, let me see, probably just have a look here with the dodge. I think that's born. Yeah, we just get the dodge brush out here and just see if we can bring some of that stuff out. That's on that layer there, so I want to go down to our metal paint layer and maybe into the base layer here, and just dodge some of that. I probably should have brought that in as a separate material, but what I will do is see what other layers we have here, or what other passes we have. I don't really like any of them, so what we might do is see what else I have in here. Back to H projects, textures, download base, see what else is in here. Maybe this one here actually. Yeah, maybe we'll use this one. And what we'll do is AC V and just Control T, free transform. It's huge, so I think it's 4K maybe, so just scale that right down till the scale looks good with what we're doing. And yeah, there's some nice kind of drips and things in that. So yeah, we'll just press return there, and let me see, where do we want to put that? Just put that up the very top, and just select that in the clown pass again, and where are we now? It's here, and just Control I and delete, and now we can just drop the opacity. As you see here now, if I had the full mask there, but it doesn't matter, I can just use this polygonal lasso tool and just delete these bits here, delete, and I'm going to bring the opacity, leave it at that, and we'll multiply, no sorry, we'll overlay, maybe brighten it up a bit, maybe screen, no, not screen, soft light. Let's see now with the levels, just going to clamp it a bit more, and that'll help to brighten it up there. Just that brightens it up nicely. And let me see, we might just this doesn't look right at all, so I might just erase that out. But I don't like no, I don't like that because it's a lot darker underneath, so I'm just going to just clone stamp it out there, just so it looks a bit more natural. And maybe, let me see, I'll just I'll erase it out with a lower opacity just to kind of darken it up, because it's a recessed area. Could have used masks for this, but I know I won't really be coming back to this, so we'll leave it at that. Now I might see, drop the opacity just a touch, and this orange the orange layer here might be a bit too, or this orange part might be a bit too dark, so we're going to get or a bit too kind of bright, I mean, sorry. So we'll come down to our base layer, and you know, we can always image adjustments, mess with the color balance, and maybe take some of the orange out. Yeah, I think I might like that a bit better, and maybe just crush the whites and blacks a bit, just to give a bit more contrast. And yeah, so you can see how this is all coming together, and you know, we're using all the different textures, layers, photos, and you can just keep plugging away. As I said at the very start of all this, is just about adding. And one thing I'm noticing there that we mentioned earlier on is this is a bit too bright here. The very bottom layer, it's way too bright compared to how dirty the whole gun is. So we can just darken that up a little bit, and maybe darken it a touch more. I'm not sure what this weird thing is over here. Sorry, I just want to, I'm not too sure what that is. I'm just checking through all the layers. It looks like it's coming from there. So I'll go back to my paintbrush. Yeah, that was getting rid of it. So I'll just bring the opacity up and just paint that back out there in the mask. See, that's another good reason why you want to have masks. Any problems like that, you know, rather than if it had been erased or painted on, it's a bit more work to get rid of it, you know. So this is looking pretty good. Maybe we want to do a bit more with this. So we'll just see what else we have here to maybe vary that up a bit more. Metal scratches, scratch metal, maybe this one here, and just do the same thing again. A, C, V, and Control T. Scale that way down, and down again, and I just might rotate this into position a bit more, and yeah, we go with that. And I can just I'm not going to bother with the masks and everything there. I'm just going to use that polygonal lasso thing again, and then I'll just erase around it. Oh, just clicking the start again there. Control Shift I, delete, Control D, and then we'll just get our eraser out there, and just gonna let's go back up to full, turn off pressure sensitivity, and we'll just go around and erase all this out. As I said there, it doesn't have to be completely accurate there, because it's going to bleed in and blend in with what's already there, so it won't even be noticed that much. So what we might do there now is see if there's any spots here that don't look, oops, don't look right. Just gonna go back a few steps there, and again I could have used a mask here, but it doesn't really matter that much for this. So where are we? Yeah, that black thing seems to be on the base layer. A few of those spots around actually. Yeah, it seems to be everywhere where this mask is. You can see there, it's I think it might have been actually when I, yeah, maybe. Trying to check something. Oh yeah, I see what's going on there now. Right, so sorry, that weird black stuff was I clamped the levels too much on this layer without looking at it, and I just introduced those blacks. So all I did was grab this layer again, which is a bit of a darker version of this one that we were using, and I just copied it in there and dropped it in, so it's just taking the place of that layer there that was causing these weird black things because I clamped out the levels. So that's back in place now, and those black kind of spots are gone, so we can go back to what we were doing, which was sorting out. You can see now I've went against my own advice and stopped naming layers. So I'm just trying to find, it's here, yeah. No, I thought it's the AO. I'll just yeah, that's AO. Sorry, yeah, it's this layer here. So we just want to just going to bring that right to the top. We'll just call that handle wear. And let me see. So I erased out a bit of it here that I didn't want to, so we'll just clone stamp that back in. And now we'll maybe put it on multiply to dark, and multiply and drop down the opacity just to change it up a bit, and maybe just sort out the levels, give it a bit more contrast, and now I'll probably just take the dodge tool on that layer, maybe just brighten these bits up a little bit. It doesn't seem to be working too well. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm just going to color pick maybe sort of a bright color here, and just go to our paintbrush and just paint it in. Make sure Control D with no mask selected. And just make sure to set it back to normal. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to copy that layer at all. I was supposed to just create a new layer and color pick again. So color pick this bright one and back to the brush, and I'm going to get rid of that brush and select maybe I'm just going to select a soft brush and drop the opacity of the layer way down. No, actually I won't select that brush because there's no kind of, it's just a blurry kind of a zoom. There's no variance to it. So what we'll do is maybe select one of these brushes down here. Dirt. Let me see what that's like. Perfect. So just I'll erase that now in a second. And maybe just paint a bit of it onto this part of the handle. Just to kind of brighten that up a bit more as it is in the reference. Now some of these blur brushes are kind of a bit weird sometimes when you're using the Wacom, the Wacom, or whatever way you pronounce it. Right, so now I'll just grab the eraser, just get rid of these bits that we don't want, and you'll notice as well that the dirt layers now, I'm going to bring the dirt up to the top now because the dirt layer is always going to be on the top, the dirt and the dust, because of the laws of physics. Right, so happy enough with that. So we're just going to grab these three layers, dirt, grime and dust, and boom, we'll knock them at the top, and then we'll also grab the AO and stick that above everything again. So now let's see what we have. Close this down, and we're getting there, you know. There was another texture I saw in here the last time that I wanted to grab. This rust leak. So before we bring it in, actually, probably just yeah, I'm not going to take the whole lot of it in. Probably just you know, grab a bit of it, grab this bit maybe, maybe just this bit, or maybe just this this bit. Right, and we delete the rest. And now there's different ways to isolate this out. You know, you can go to you could just select with the magic lasso thing, or whatever, the magic wand, and just select these you know, which is probably the quickest way. This color, you can select color range as well, but this works pretty good. And then I just want to get rid of this part up the very top, and then we can sort out these harsh lines and everything when we get in. Maybe just get rid of these as well, and this bit here, and a few more of these bits. Just mainly want these the drips. So let's see if we're happy with that, and Control A. Sorry, it's gone all weird there. Control A, Control C, and Control V, T. And just scale that down. And I want to put it. So we just call this. Once we get this sorted out, I'm just going to scale that right down, and sort of rotate it into position. Scale it down a touch more, and I'll call this drips. And then you can just Control Alt Shift and just, oops, that does sometimes happen. A always selected as well. So Control Shift Alt, and it's doing it again. Weird Photoshop bug. Control Shift. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Sorry. Control Alt. It's supposed to be able to do it with Control Alt and Shift, but sometimes it goes weird like that. Okay, so back to what we were doing. We just see now what we want to do with this. Try a few blend modes. It's always like the drips. It's always a good idea to test out blend modes. Always. What we got? Yeah, that one there. I like that one. So eraser, and we just take out any of these kind of bits. Now we'll select this other layer up here, and Control T, and we can just flip that horizontal so it doesn't look the exact same as the other one, and maybe just grab a small section over here, and then we're going to just Control Shift that again, bring it over there, and Control Shift it once more. You can also do this by creating a brush from this and just painting this in, but I'm just going to do it like this for the moment. Now what did I use there? It was overlay, so go to our next copy over here, and just delete these bits that we don't want, and go into the eraser, and then we'll just get rid of these bits as well. So it's just going to be underneath the very part there that we want it to be under. What did I say there? Overlay. Yep. I'm going to go to the next one now. Same again. Control T. Scale it down, and maybe just take this part of it. You know, we could also be using different textures, so this, but nobody's ever going to know there. That's the same, from the same texture. So we'll apply that, maybe move it down, touch, and delete this part, and just get that other one out of the way. D, and back to this one. I'm going to merge these all into one, so that's why I'm not bothering renaming them just yet. So let's move that one over. Maybe I want to just rotate it a touch more, and set that to overlay as well, and the eraser, just a small bit around there, maybe just here as well. mask copy, and I might take, I'm just going to scale it kind of just to make it look different, and get that into position, apply that, set the overlay, and get the eraser and the rubber we call it, and maybe move that one up a touch to a better position, and just get rid of that bit there. Right, so I'm going to just select these layers here, just hold down shift, and we just merge layers. Sorry, because they all had these multiply modes. What's the button again? Preserve transparency, I think. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna set them to normal. There is a button, but right now I can't think of it. So I'm just gonna merge them all and then set them to overlay. What else do we want to do? You know, you could put some more of those strips about the place, or what was that layer again? This one here. I might just put a mask on this layer and maybe paint some of this stuff out. Sorry, we're in on the rubber. Do we have a mask? Select it there. Oh, there it is there, yeah. Right, so I might just maybe break some of this up a bit. Select a different brush. Let me see. Maybe just try one of these. Yeah, I like that, the way it's kind of dripping down across them. And that's kind of looks like it's dripping from underneath the skull. So I think get the idea with all this kind of carry on, the layers and the dirt and the drips and all the rest of it. So might just leave it at that, but before we do, I want to maybe just pick one more texture here. You know, you could go for, you could bloody well go forever doing this stuff, but you have to stop at some stage, especially when you're recording a tutorial and it's nearly an hour and a half long. So I'm just going to do this one more thing. Select this concrete bear and double click the layer, especially when it's the middle of the bloody night, and VT, Control minus and Shift, scale it down. And I just want to, you know, I think that blue is a bit sort of standy out there for me liking at the moment. Scale that up a touch. So we'll come back to our clown pass. I'm going to bring this up just below the dirt, and then we just select that clown pass as usual, and I'm just going to put it over this over the blue. So come back down to the layer and Control Shift I and delete, and Control D to clear that. And just you can see here the levels are way off, so we'll just tighten them up a bit, and have a look through some adjustment layers. Usually when you go past overlay, the rest of them are all a bit crazy. The odd time you might get something good, but I'm gonna have to go with one of the darker ones. Maybe multiply. Yeah, I might go with multiply. And now I'm just gonna pause it while I go and look for something to put in the background here, and I'll be back in a second. Right, I just found this after a 2-second search. I just found this like a Warhammer 40k kind of wallpaper thing. So I'm just gonna bring it right down to the background, and just gonna scale it down because it's nearly 2k, and maybe scale it down a bit more. I like it better actually scaled up, so that's not bang in the center or anything. And then I'm going to maybe darken. I don't like the way it's and I'm going to blur it. Filter blur, Gaussian blur, not so much. I'm just going to blur it, and don't really, it's kind of overpowering. You want something a bit more subtle in the background, so it doesn't overpower sort of what you're doing. So this is again, this is, you know, you can just choose whatever you like, put a gradient in the background or whatever the hell you like. I just thought that might work kind of there, but it's too you know, it's too bright here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new layer and just grab a large paintbrush with black, a large soft brush, and I'm just going to kind of paint underneath it there, so that just paint behind the handle, and then drop the opacity just so we still see a bit of detail, but it kind of darkens it up there, you know, so it's not overpowering the detail that we want people to look at, and we still have, you know, it's kind of bright here where it's kind of bright here. So I think that's pretty much what you can do then when you've everything done and you're happy with all your levels and everything, or I mean, sorry, you're happy with all your layers and everything. You just come up to the top here and Control Shift E, and that'll just flatten and duplicate all your layers below non-destructively, so you have all your layers collapsed into one. And now you can play with this and know that all your layers below aren't going to be affected, you know. So you could come up here to try this variations thing. I don't really use it, but you know, you can more red, whatever, you can play around with this here and then select something that you like. Shadows, midtones, highlights. You know, you can try this here as well. If it's a 16-bit image, auto contrast, auto tone, auto color sometimes gives nice results. As I said, then it's non-destructive because we have all, we're doing it on this layer up here, and we can also use these adjustment layers. These adjustment layers here. So let's say we want to add say photo filter. It's going to be on top of this, so we can still delete that or hide that layer. And then you can see the effect that's going to have. I'm not going to use that, but you know, you can play around with it yourself. So I'm just going to do a bit more messing around. And just one other thing we can do here. We can see this layer here where you can add you know, you can just, all this is it's a layer. I'll just bring it up to 100%. It's just a large soft brush, white opacity drop down, and just paint it in around this region of interest, and then just set it to soft light and drop the opacity down. And you can see what it does there. It just, if you've a region or an area of interest on your image that you want people to kind of look at, same as we did here to take the eye away from this part, we darkened it. Well, it's like a tonal contrast thing. We're brightening it here then to draw the eye towards that. And even this part at the back, you know, I'm not crazy about that, so I might add another layer and do the same thing, and just kind of darken that slightly up the top there, so it's not distracting. And or you can add a vignette. And a way quick way to add a vignette is just to use this elliptical tool, you know, draw it out sort of there, and then just fill it with, Control Shift I to invert it, and fill it with black. Then you can just filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then you can just blur that. And sorry, I had the mask on there. Just want filter, blur, or I had the selection on, Gaussian blur, and just blur that out and drop the opacity down. So it's just you know, extra sort of little touches just to add extra to your image. As I say, you could go on with this forever and ever and ever and just keep adding to it, or you might add a bit to it and think it was great going to bed and get up in the morning then and you hate it, you know. So it's just the nature of it. So yeah, that was just another little thing that I wanted to mention. And the very, 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 very last thing that I just remembered after I stopped recording and said goodbye to everybody was that we forgot to put this text in. So we'll just do that quickly here. So I'm just going to use my polygonal lasso. We're just gonna, there's better ways of doing this, but I'm just gonna do it like this for quickness. For an illustration, if I was doing this, I would have definitely put it into the geometry when I was building the bolter. But the idea of building the bolter was to build it as a low poly kind of sub D mesh. So that's why. Sorry. That's why I didn't do that. So now Control Shift I and delete that, and Control A, Control Shift C, and Control Shift V. And now what we want to do is set that to, let's try overlay, let's try screen, soft light seems to be good, but I can't even see the bloody text anymore. So it's hardly even noticeable, you know. So I might just grab the eraser and just erase around these kind of harsh lines, and maybe try levels and just bring that, no, size, blending modes. There, I think that's probably, yeah, that's pretty good there. So just for a quick throw it in there, so that'll do the job. Hey, and yeah, I'm gonna if I don't just leave it now, I'll keep on doodling and noodling and tweaking and all the rest. So I am going to leave it here, and that is pretty much what I wanted to show. And I know it's an hour and a half long, but I tried to get in as much of the process in real time, like, so as I could. None of this is time lapsed or sped up or anything, as I'm sure you're well aware by now if you've been watching any of my tutorials. So I'm going to pause at that. I might do a little bit more work on it before I post it up, but yeah, I'm going to go with that. Alright, and hope you guys enjoyed and learned a bit, and hopefully see you in the next series or tutorial that I do. Alright, thanks for all the subscribes as well there recently, and the kind words in the comments. Alright lads, cheers.